Welcome to the Soul Driven Podcast, where we explore the essence behind the excellence and the soul behind the success. I am your host, Colette Davenport, and today I am joined by my good friend, Lee Bullock. Hey, Lee.
How are you?
Doing great. Excited to dive in with you today. Kick us off by sharing just in brief what you do in the world, and then we'll dive in.
Cool. Well, I am born and raised in Austin, and I am a real estate agent in Austin for Den Property Group. I'm also a lifetime artist. And that's the big aspects of it. I have lots of little nuances, but those are my big things that I do in the world is create art and try to put that in front of everybody. And then as well, obviously servicing everybody's real estate needs.
And we'll get into some of that nuance. That's the whole point of this conversation is getting behind what appears to the world to see like what's really brewing underneath it all.
Absolutely.
And the first question that I have for you is what does soul driven mean to you?
I'd say soul driven is kind of what I'm destined to do, like an unsaid, unthought feeling of doing something. That's what
Yeah.
my interpretation is, at least.
Yeah, I like that. And I think you're spot on or you're touching in on something there because it is, we're talking about soul stuff, spirit stuff. This is not tangible stuff. It is unseen, unspoken, hard to put language to. But at the same time, it's that internal drive, that force that calls forth whatever it is that you're creating. Well, so now let's explore the origin of your work as an artist. Let's go there first.
Okay. Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
Well, so I've been an artist my whole life. I was a tattoo artist right out of high school for 14 years in Austin, mostly in Austin. I traveled around, but mostly in Austin. And then, quite frankly, I just kind of went through a big change with my energy of what I could deal with. I was kind of going through some negative times in my life, and I just couldn't deal with tattooing anymore. At the time, I was painting quite a bit in my spare time. Watercolor is the medium, and I was getting a lot of orders for that. So I just up and left, moved to a family ranch that I kind of inherited a small piece of, and began 10 years of just painting commissions. And then to make this a long-winded story, more long-winded, I've recently transitioned into oil painting, which is exciting for me, which is a big part of why I wanted to come on here, is just to share that as well, because for the first time in my adult life, I'm painting stuff that's really for me. Like I want people to enjoy it, but I don't care if I sell it. I'm not painting to sell. I'm painting to create a big body of work that is a lot more emotional driven, and where the 10-year career is basically just tattooing but on watercolor paper, because it was like, okay, you want a picture of your mom or your picture of your dog, and I would do a portrait, which is great, and I appreciate it and very grateful of all that. I still will dip into that because I do like to make money, but this painting, I'm not given anything. It's conceptual to me, and that's just really exciting. So that's kind of where I'm at.
You and I have known each other since your days of tattooing. We go back, and it's been really cool to watch you move through your artistic expression in all the ways that you have. I'm wondering, when you moved to the ranch, you're sort of secluded. What kind of internal shifts occurred for you in that environment?
Man, I don't know if we have enough time. There was a lot. It was
What's
a
one that's really memorable for you that really stood out?
well, I'll be honest. And one thing your viewers will get to know is I don't really mind diving into pretty dark and stuff. Like I think vulnerability is good. But at that time, it wasn't a great time, to be completely honest. I moved to a very 150 acres 30 minutes from the town. So it was very reclusive, very secluded. Uh,
Right.
and in my mind, I thought, well, if I'm going to move here, I'm going to like not live off the land, but I'm going to, I moved away to not be around people. So I purposely, for probably the first year or two, my only interactions with humans was like every 2 or 3 weeks, I'd go to the store to get supplies, and that's when I would mail all my paintings. So the postmen at the Lampasas USPS, Bob and Sam, both retired now, but both of those gentlemen are pretty much my only conversations with humans for like a year, besides, like a
Yeah.
Walmart or HEB teller. So it was, but it was, looking back at it now, that was an amazing time for me. It really kind of broke me. And I think that that's important for people, you know, to break yourself down a little bit. And then I get to rebuild. I'm a Scorpio, so I like to rise like the phoenix.
Yeah. That's why I prompted this. I'm
Yeah.
curious if you could bring us into some of those darker experiences.
Yeah, like I just had to look at myself, look at my interactions with people, look at my childhood. But I was in my 30s, mid 30s when I moved out there. I was in a motorcycle club. I was doing a lot of I wouldn't say experimenting with drugs. I was just doing them. Uh, I was just, I thought I was having a great time in my life, but I was really just like masking tons of stuff. And by waking up every day and just talking to my dogs and just looking in the mirror, I was able to kind of realize how broken I really was. So it was a long journey that I fought myself on. I didn't allow myself to heal for a long, long time. And then fortunately, I did. At some point, I realized I should go to therapy and start working on myself.
Yeah.
And then COVID came. I don't know how far you want me to go into all this, but then in COVID came, I was a recluse. So I saw all of my friends, family, extended family, especially, like kind of struggling a lot with not being able to interact with people. And I'm like, this is my day to day. Like that's all I do is not talk to people. I'm the weird artist living on a ranch raising goats. So I actually that changed me a lot, both with my career. That real estate is when that happened. I was just 39, and I wanted to make sure that I sold a house before I turned 40, which happened. So, but also during that COVID time, I started doing like online classes, art classes for kids, just kind of coming out of a dark side of me and trying to help people, um, which made a big impact on my life.
Yeah. So the challenges that arose when you faced yourself, so to speak,
Mhm.
what would you say was the big hairy monster? What was the big one, Lee, that confronted you?
Um, Honestly, there's a lot. There was a lot. It's hard for me. I'd have to go back and kind of marinate in that for a while, longer than we have, to get one specific thing. But um, I think this happens a lot with men. It happens with women too. I mean, I'm from a family with that I grew up with four women basically raising me, so it does happen with all sexes. But definitely, men don't have the tools. We're not taught the tools to deal with like a lot of our own issues, and that's not an excuse to have them or to act out on them. But it's true. I was in the generation where you hide all your feelings. Now it's like I wouldn't know how to hide them. But yeah, I think being able to face that, all of the like insecurities, the mistakes that I had made throughout my life, those were hard. I mean,
Yeah.
currently hard to even talk about.
Um, in the work that I do, when there is this sort of intangible, ongoing, deeply seated challenge, the hairy monster, I don't know where that's coming from, but there it is. When the hairy monster is the one essentially in the driver's seat of our lives, oftentimes we don't know it. We just think that that is who we are, how we were raised, how life goes, etc. But what we don't realize is that it is um, a concept that gets created, and sure, through conditioning, but it's not something that is essentially who we are. It's a persona, if you will, right? That then we do all the personal development or self-help or therapy or all of these wonderful ways that we can turn around and look at that identity, um, and realize that it's actually not who we truly are. Were you able to do that? Separating the persona from who you are?
To be honest, I think I'm continuously doing that. Like I try to kill my ego always. I have big upheavals in my life. I don't mean to do them every 5 to 7 years, but they typically happen every 5 to 7 in cycles. And I just noticed that, just observed it as I've gotten older, realized that. But so to answer your question, like, yes, I did face that and I did like leave. I call it like killing off an old version of myself. That person no longer serves me, is no longer me. I kind of continuously strive to be reborn in new concepts, new ideas, new observations of myself, and make sure that I'm never going to be perfect, but that I keep going in a better direction than I was. That's where I'm really at right now, is just kind of, taking little steps and then stopping, but purposely taking a day completely to myself, laying on my couch or something with my dogs, and just really making sure, like every week, checking in with myself. Because
Yeah.
I get so busy in the past, like I would be so busy painting that I would not achieve other goals. And so I think that it's important to check in.
When you think about the intersection of ambition and self awareness, what does that look like in your world?
It's something I'm still navigating. I don't really know yet. I have to give myself grace more than I do. I think that's pretty common with successful people. I think there's more to life than just success, like on paper. My bank account isn't only my success, so I need to make sure that I look at everything else.
What other things do you consider measures of success?
A successful day is when I manage all of the expectations within myself without like being hypercritical of myself the whole time, just bouncing through my day.
When you think about all that you do, real estate, art, the relationships that you have, what is the feeling you want to leave people with as a result of your being in their life?
Um, it's a great question. I want people to know that that I care, that I am trying to perform in not perform like act, but you know, let's take it into like, let me section it up a little bit so it's easier for me to think. But like for real estate, there's a million realtors. There's a million. I mean, it's a business transaction for so many people. I prefer dealing with people who are passionate about what they're wanting, and they see that I'm going to bat for them. Like I'm like an extended family type of scenario. I want them to know that I emotionally and empathetically like am attached to them during the process. And so yeah, I like people to take away that I cared a lot about them during the time that I'm with them, whether that's for the rest of my life or that's a transaction or what have you. For the time I'm in their life, I want them to know that they're important to me. As far as with art, that's a very different thing now. Before it was performance as well. Like I was painting commissions, so it was like a rush when people got so excited that I did what they what they wanted, and look like their dog or look like their whatever. That felt good for me. Now I purposely am painting very abstract pieces that I people ask me all the time what they are, and I tell them in so many words that it doesn't matter what it is for me; it's what it is for the viewer. And so I'm really like, as far as like legacy currently is with art, is I'm really wanting to develop a large body of work that beyond my years make people feel something negative, positive, deep, dark, whatever that is. I think it's important for people. So kind of goes hand in hand. I think I want people to know I care about them. And then in some weird way, I also want them to think, I want them to get into their own emotions with my artwork as well. I don't know if that kind of is helping them in a way, in my opinion, but maybe not.
Yeah, I love that. Why do you think it's important for you to convey that caring, that impact, that stimulating intrigue with either real estate or art?
I mean, I think like I like it when other people make me feel special. It completely changes my attitude for the day, for the week, whatever. And I don't cognitively stop and say I should be nice. Sometimes I do actually, but very rarely am I like, be overly nice to this person so that you make their day. But I do reflect on it at the end of my day. Like I'm laying in bed, you know, doom scrolling or doing whatever I'm doing to try to get my brain to shut off. And during that process, I do reflect on at least my attempts at making people's day. And I don't know, I think it's important for people to feel special, and hopefully I can do that for somebody. I mean, even if it's the person behind the counter at Starbucks and I tell them I like their outfit and I see their eyes twinkle, just little things like that I think are important, down to obviously, with my career, the most stressful purchase people will ever have in their lives. I want them to go to bed, even if they're stressed, and know, well, at least I have Lee, who is not like sleeping on this. Like he's considering everything for me. I know he's got my back. I think that's important.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned legacy earlier. What is your intended legacy, Lee? What do
You
you want to
know,
leave behind?
I don't know. Happy dogs, stuff like that. I don't really have one. I do give some thought of it. Obviously, I said it, but I don't give as deep of thought as maybe I should. Again, I'd like to be remembered as a kind person, and that's kind of, I don't know if that's really my legacy, but that's important to me. I don't have children. I don't have anything like that to leave behind to someone else, and I don't know that I plan on it at this point. So I guess I just want people to, I'm that person who fantasizes that when my funeral happens, that people have good things to say and are excited to share stories
Yeah, I
about
get
me.
that. That is actually a really beautiful thing. I think that is the greatest legacy, if you will, is to leave that imprint on others of love and kindness in whatever way that comes through.
Yeah.
And just so you know, that's my experience of you. You just are that. You just live that. And it's effortless, it's intuitive, it's who you are. What are you most curious about creating currently?
Yeah. So I'm working, and it's a lot of process. Again, I've said this before, but my art career, as much as I sold a lot, they weren't like deep feelings from me that created this art. Well, now my new series, it's called Psychological Landscapes, uh, and I'm up to about 10 or 11 pretty large oil paintings, like 3 by 4 foot or larger, so pretty significant size paintings. They're abstract paintings, um, but they're really they're meant more. The visual is just is like a place where like, I don't know, subconsciously see these things. They might mimic a forest or fjord or a mountain range, but they kind of don't look like that either. But the point of them for me is kind of bringing me into like a place that I feel past traumas a lot. A lot of childhood traumas come up in this that I've been working through because of the paintings, to be completely honest with you. And that's kind of led me down this path of I'm reading some pretty obscure books lately from some of the earliest surrealist novelists from like the early 1900s, 1910, 1920s, to like Norse mythology. I'm rereading Greek mythology, a lot of religious books on the underworld. It makes it sound very dark, but it's just really to like set a mood to a painting. I don't know, and that's where I'm at creatively. I really am striving to make things that profoundly shake people. Like, I don't know why, but I like, if somebody cried looking at my painting would mean the most to me. Happy tears or sad tears or brings back a memory, something like that. Something visceral is what I'm really passionate about. Is not exploiting that, but bringing forward people's like visceral feelings, things that they didn't even realize. Maybe because I'm currently going through that a lot with my therapist. coming into my own on acknowledging things that I suppressed for so long. It's maybe a way to, I'm hoping to help people. Unfortunately, with that, some people don't want me to help them.
Yeah,
But sorry, sucker, you looked at it.
I love that. I think that is something pretty powerful about your art, the oil abstract art series that and genre that you've moved into recently, is that it is so evident to me, at least as an observer, that it's your inner world being displayed in various ways with a lot of vulnerability, but with a lot of pride too, like a lot of truth. It's all there. Whatever their consciousness of the observer is how that's going to impact them. So for me, I see depth, I see truth, I see pain, I see joy, I see all of this emotion, and not just see it, but feel it. And that's what I love so much about what you are currently creating, Lee.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. And like I said, that's really, I mean, that's like the biggest compliment to, I think, any artist that's really stepping out of just the sales part of art is that it impacts people. Like,
Yeah,
and again, like, of course I want to sell paintings. Like, so don't get me wrong. Like, I still wake up every day. I like to buy things. So
yeah,
I have to make money to buy things. I like to go to eat nice food and, I know what I have to do. But fortunately with real estate, it keeps me afloat to where I can go a long time without having to sell a painting before it affects my mortgage. So with that, I'm trying to take full advantage of that. Hopefully, it will be in some galleries. I think that's where it's going to really show itself. Is when you see these, they're much larger than people anticipate. I have had people come over to my house and do little private showings, and I had a woman. It's hard to even talk about. Excuse me. She broke down. It was actually hard for me to watch. Also, like so like powerful and compliment to me that she never told me what it did to her. She was shook, and it was I don't know, in a way I'm like grateful that I could bring that to her. Hopefully it wasn't didn't bring up anything too bad for her, but also if it did, hopefully she heals even more from it. But it was pretty powerful. And I think that in a gallery setting where you can see all of these pretty large pieces together, they don't necessarily mean one thing to the next. Like, I mean, they're all the same series, but they don't need to be seen together. But if you do, I think it's going to be undoubtable to people that there's a lot of emotion there. And I think it would be, I don't know, just a cool vibe in the whole building for me to sit back and watch people really try to dig into what they mean. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's what we're here for, truly. And so let's sort of see if we can ride that wave a little bit. What is something that people misunderstand about you or your work?
People think that it's extremely dark. Almost daily do I get a DM or something that are like, "Oh, you're so talented, I'd buy it, but it's just so dark," or whatever. And that's fine because that's it probably does look that way. But I think David Lynch said something that resonates with me a lot, and I don't ever quote things verbatim, but let's just say it's my version of a David Lynch quote, that an artist doesn't have to feel torment to create torment. Roughly, he's talking more about writing a movie. Like, you don't have to be a tormented writer to create a scene in a movie that expresses torment and makes people feel that emotion. And I think that's really important with art. Is in some ways for me, I am expressing some deep stuff, but what it means to me means nothing at the end of the day. But Francis Bacon said something like that as well, that what my art means to me is not important. It's what it means to you. Uh, and so with that said, I think that's something that is misinterpreted, that I'm a very dark and depressed person. I don't know. Maybe it's like a mixed emotes feeling I send people. I get very deep, but I'm really just like kind of also the jester, and I want people to have fun and enjoy themselves. Um,
It's a juxtaposition, Lee, because you can create this stimulating, confronting piece of art and yet be the most welcoming, open, easy to be with person. What do you think that is?
do feel like there is like a good and a bad side to everybody, but the bad side isn't necessarily like evil and mean or sinister. It's just a dark side. It's your shadow. And I teeter on the fence, you know, and I dip my toes in both pools quite a bit. But with that said, I think I'm new to sharing these ideas in my head, so forgive me on some of it, but it's something that I've had my whole life that I kind of dip into that dark, like edgier areas of that people don't want to discuss. I think about a lot. I know when to take myself out of it. You know, like when I'm at a dinner party with you or anyone, like I'm not thinking of these like conversations to have. I'll get into them if somebody wants to, and then they're like, "Whoa, don't ask Lee about mystical arts because he might talk about it." But I don't know. I start rambling here, but my new favorite quote is "Land the plane, Lee." But I just kind of I have a natural juxtaposition is a good word, or just there's just definitely two sides to me. And I naturally and socially have a much more upbeat tone, I believe, in person. Maybe not on these interviews, but when people see me, um, I watch for their smiles. I watch for their little nuances in their face that they're excited or that they're having a good time. I pick up on those and I try to like nail those things, you know, which probably makes me good at selling houses and whatnot because I see trigger points and pleasure and pain points. And when I see pleasure in something, I kind of, I'll just keep poking that bear until the person is just there, you know, in that state.
Is there anything else that you would like to share that I haven't asked yet?
I'm putting together a newsletter of an arts culture in Austin that I'm excited about. It's going to be just like a once a month little newsletter on any dining experiences that are unique for the month, any new gallery openings. There's always great gallery openings in Austin that I think people don't tap into enough. So I want to make sure I highlight like with a little calendar. That's just something I'd like to share with anybody listening and watching.
Where would you like our listeners to connect further with you?
I mean, you know, social media is very easy for a lot of people. It's convenient. My main page is Lee Bullock _ATX on Instagram or Lee Bullock art at gmail.com. Either one of those people can reach out to me, whether it is for real estate needs or for art or for just anything. I have opinions, so you can just reach out and ask and I'll tell you. But that's probably the best ways. Instagram and then my email. If you're interested in being on that monthly newsletter, shoot me an email to that leebullockart at gmail.com and I'll make sure that they're included on my tips of the art culture for the month.
Love it. All right, Lee. Well, thank you for diving in with me today. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.